Hi guys, and welcome back to the Chris390 Sorare channel, where I'm actually going to be doing a new series, and I'm going to kind of break down each Premier League team so that it kind of helps you make decisions based on your budget and actually what might help you decide what you want to do with your teams. Because at the moment prices are really expensive, and I know there's that feeling of I really want to get a new team. And the first team I'm going to look at today is Arsenal. So I will be going through all the Premier League teams, but I thought I'd start with the Premier League champions. Now, it's going to be a really interesting season, and I think, for me personally, the signing of Bruno Guimaraes and how good he is in the Premier League is a massive signing. I think it's going to prove very crucial to their season. I think having Bruno and Declan Rice in that midfield spot could be crucial. But also signing players like Tazolis, or I don't actually know how you pronounce his name, but the new winger, he seems quite lively in pre-season. And the only thing that worries me is probably defence. So I'm going to go through this with you and help you make decisions, because let's be honest, Arsenal's the team that probably most people, if they were to play this game, taking away favouritism or teams they like or don't like, Arsenal are probably going to be the best team in the league. So the argument is, if you're going to pick a team, they may give you the best return for money. Now, I've been having a look at their cards. Now they're not. It depends what level you want to play. I'm just going to look at potential lineups, what you want to do. Looking at Bruno Guimaraes to start with. So his sale history, he's been going for about £140. So I personally think they're quite expensive at the moment. I love Bruno Guimaraes and I think he's a great card, but I think once they've started the season and the boosted game which goes out, I think this card drops to about £60-70, maybe even more. So just bear that in mind, okay? But again, key for me would be Bruno Guimaraes. Defensively, Gabriel's always a solid choice. Again, very expensive at the minute, £130, but that's because he's scoring. If you look at his scores throughout Arsenal season last year, I mean, it's just ridiculously solid. Like, you know what you're going to get Gabriel, and he scores goals. He did have a period of injury, so that's something to take into account. But probably the best defender. So at the moment, I'm going through the best. Forwards, Bukayo Saka. It's probably almost reliable bet of Arsenal, because Arsenal have a habit of chopping and changing their forward line. And that, for me, is a bit of a worry if you're going to pick an Arsenal stack. But the one thing that stays consistent with them is Bukayo Saka actually playing when he's fit. And if he stays fit all season, he'll play every game. It's simple as that, really. I do really like this Christos card. Now, in pre-season, he's been class. Now, I know this looks amazing, but just don't get ahead of yourself just yet, because this is at his previous club, Club Bruges. Okay, so he played for Club Bruges. So I really liked Christian Sorare. I'm going to pronounce his name right. I need to learn how to pronounce it, because I think he's actually been quite a big player this year. Other than that, I'm a bit open. I think one thing I would say is David Raya is a really solid goalkeeper option. You know he's going to start for Arsenal every single game. They love David Raya. They had that big season where it was between Ramsdale and David Raya, and they seem to have heavily just gone strong now with David Raya, and that is why he's £150, because he is going to be the main goalkeeper for Arsenal this season, without a shadow of a doubt. He will be Arsenal's number one. So if you wanted security in a goalkeeper, know he's going to play each game, then David Raya is a good choice. My only hesitation with David Raya and paying that amount of money is when it comes to the international break, because remember, we're going to have about a month-long international break. David Raya is actually not going to play for Spain because Unai Simon's number one. So you're spending £150 on the player. I'd expect him to be playing Premier League, Champions League and international football, and he doesn't do that. So for me, that is a big worry, and that's something I think you need to factor in when you're selecting Arsenal players. I will give you my starting five at the end of this video, and I will tell you what I will go with if I was going to use, and I'm going to stick to limited version for now, but you can translate it to super rare and rare if you want to, if that's the level you want to go in at. But I will tell you mine going forward. So just to add to it, I'm going to use another couple of websites to help me. So I like to use Sorare Inside, which I think gives you the best probability of starting 11. It probably helps me understand, like, people who actually love Arsenal know a bit better. I also use FootMob because I think FootMob is very good for statistics, and it allows us to look at some detailed summaries that they actually give out through what they've seen. And I also use Transfer Market because I think Transfer Market's a really good website for seeing transfers, because remember, the transfer window is still open. So yes, some of these players might be starters now, but if Arsenal transfer a player in, then suddenly the whole outlook of the team changes, okay? And it actually may influence and impact other teams that you buy. So it's really interesting. So the first thing we're going to look at is Arsenal's team profile. So this is a website called Sorare Inside, and on Sorare Inside, Sorare EFL, absolute legend of the game, like massive on X, and he's like super, like highly rated in Sorare. So give him a follow on X. He's really good. But this is interesting for me. Now, when I read this, I was actually a little bit surprised. Not in a massive way, because it's not too bad, but we've had an update that Timber's going to miss the start of the season. So again, I wouldn't bother buying Timber at the moment because you know he's going to miss the season. And actually, when I read it, it kind of made sense, but I am a bit intrigued to see what's going to happen with Arsenal in the defensive area, because I believe that Saliba's also got an injury, and he's going to miss a few months of the season. So the only rule now, like, he is right in the sense that the only rule nailed on start at the moment is Gabriel, and that subject to him staying fit in pre-season. I do think Calafiori and Hikapi could be good options for you, because I think one of them will go in centre half if they need it, especially at the start of the season. I think your two midfielders are nailed on now. I actually think there's talk of Lewis Skelly going to Chelsea, I think I saw today. So I would stick away. Really intrigued, if you're going to pick a midfielder, you've got to pick Bruno or Declan. Really, I think they're going to be absolutely solid point scorers. I'd probably, if I had to choose between the two, I'm probably going to go Declan Rice, just because he's a set piece taker, and his AA scores are just ridiculous. So yeah, I would probably stick with. It's tight. I'll probably pick both actually, because, and actually these two will be in my starting five, because I know they're nailed on to play pretty much every game in that position. Yes, there could be rotation, but with Zubamendi, with Marino, with Eze, with Odegaard, for example, but I think they've spent a hell of a lot of money on Bruno Guimaraes to partner Declan Rice, and that would be my. I actually think behind Saka and Gabriel, Bruno and Declan Rice, Bruno is now the most guaranteed now starter. For me, the front three are interesting, and this is why I'm a little bit hesitant about going with these three. Now, for me, Martin Odegaard is very, very good, but there was talk about him leaving at the start of summer, so I don't know how that's going to go about. I think Odegaard will start at the minute, but I'm not 100% sure that's gonna last. So for me, I would be very hesitant on that. I actually see Marino having more minutes this year, just because of how well he did the World Cup. I think if he doesn't get more minutes, he'll move on, because he is highly rated. Definitely Bukayo Saka on the right. I think the left side position's open. I think he's got the new guy at 60%. Now I think he will start, but I do think there could be another winger coming in. And I was having a look at this, and I think Eze might actually take a lot of that time. So I don't think he's a nailed-on starter again. So that's something you just need to bear in mind. Now, when I was on Sorare doing my reading of Arsenal, I did notice that they said about William, Saliba and Timber's going to start season, but they really rate Christos Zolis at the start of the season. Now, that's really interesting to me, and they reckon he's going to build the void. Now, the other thing to take into account is they've got some tough opening fixtures. Like, I think if you want game week 1 straight up, they're going to smash the Coventry. I love Coventry fans. I'm sorry, but Arsenal will turn you over in that first game, because. Actually, no. Maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but I do think if Arsenal come out firing like they have been, and they could do, it could be a bloodbath. If not, it could be a close game, just because it's that first game. It's getting that rust off. We all know the first game's a bit of a rust rusty game. So I'll be intrigued to see that. So yeah, their fixture list, their first 5 fixtures are actually not that easy. I mean, Coventry at home, apart from that one, Villa away, tough. They're going to be fighting for European spots again this year. Chelsea, again, always fighting for European spots. Sunderland away, we don't know what we're going to see from Sunderland this year. They smashed the start of last year. I have a feeling they might drop off this year. But you just never know. Like, they've got a good squad. Like, that's not going to be an easy place to go to Sunderland. I would expect them to get victory, but I don't think it'll be that easy. And again, Brighton is a bit like bit one of those teams. Not quite as good as Aston Villa, but they're still a team that you know are going to be really challenging, especially away from home. So it's a tough start for Arsenal. So if in that sense, if you were looking at buying the players for the boost, I don't know if I would actually look at that, to be brutally honest. The next thing I like to look at is rumours, because when you start looking at rumours, you get an idea of, oh, this player's going to go here or this player's going to go there. Now, I know there's a lot of transfers that go through somewhere, and there's a lot, but one thing I love about transfer markets, you can do the sources based on recent sources. So like when this information came out. Now, you have to take everything with a pinch of salt, because, for example, I've never heard this Kua Elias before, and he's only 20, so I'm assuming he's not coming as a first team striker. But when I look at it, it's the Sun. The source is the Sun. Now, for me, the Sun as a source is not a great source, so I take that with a pinch of salt. Now, the other thing I like about this is when they do again, it's the Sun for Arsenal. This is what I mean. It's not reliable, and actually the assessment's gone down to. This is what I like, because it actually tells you if the assessment goes down, not like if it goes up or down. So it's not like Talent. So there's nothing really concrete linked in. Now, Matthias, this guy, he is a good player. Was he the guy who played for, I want to say Belgium? I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he played for Belgium. But anyway, I think if I was looking at this list and what could happen, I think a winger such as like Antonio Nusa could be more of a viable option for them. I don't think they'll bring in another centre midfielder now. I think that's old news now. They've got Bruno. It's interesting they talk about a centre forward. So again, this is why I say check this sort of stuff, because if these rumours are flying about different centre forwards, and there's multiple centre forwards and there's multiple centre backs, it probably means that they're looking for that position, and they're floating out to see if players are sort of wanting the move. So just something to be aware of. So centre back and left back comes up, not as much. Centre forward comes up a few times, but there's so many centre backs that come up for them. It's interesting. So yeah, so that for me, that's like my insight to Arsenal. This is my insight to Arsenal. Now, if I'm picking a 5-man stack and you want to build a 5-man stack of Arsenal, I'll talk about subs in a minute. I'd be going, firstly, always pick your position. So I'll go goalkeeper first. You can see between these 3 goalkeepers. It's not hard. David Raya. Okay, number 1. Now, remember you have subs in the new Sorare. So I would pick up an Ilya Melier for £3.93 as your backup goalkeeper, because if he ever gets injured, David Raya, Melier will come in as the backup. Okay, so that's, for me, it's crucial that you're aware of that. Defensively, I think for me at the moment it's got to be Gabriel. Now, if you're on a budget, looking at these numbers, I'm probably looking at Calafiori or Hincapi. That would be my other options. But if you're going for the top budget, go Gabriel. You know he scores header from corners. He's lethal. There isn't and there's not a more guaranteed starter in here. But I'm telling you, Mosquera, what's he going for recently? Because they reckon he's going to play a bit more as well. So £26 again, not bad for someone who probably could start games. Hincapi, what's he going for? Again, £23. I think these are good pickups. Calafiori, what's he going for? Again, about £30. They're good pickups considering Arsenal are going to have some issues with their defence with Saliba and Timber out injured at the start of the season. So just bear that in mind. That might be a good move for some of you if you want to plan a budget. The defence is probably where you could save money if you didn't want to get Gabriel. Now, midfield, I've made it very clear to you guys who I would be getting out of these guys. It's Bruno and Declan. You only have to look at their average score the last 10 games. And I think this will continue. I think these two one of these two should be your extra player for Arsenal. If I was going to go for a cheaper option, I don't even know if he's much cheaper, but I would go Odegaard because Arteta loves Odegaard, and at £67 he is a third of the price of these two. The reason these two are so expensive is because they're the nailed-on starters. The only one I'd probably consider is Eze, because he will get some AA. Like if he comes on and he will score goals, and I don't believe he's going to play as little part as he did last year. I can't believe it. And if not, he'll probably move on. Like he's too good a player to be sat on the bench. So for me, that would be my midfield options, and then my forward options would be Bukayo Saka number one. Now, if you're looking for value, I don't think this card is actually that good of value. I know his scores from last year probably drive £80. I suppose not terrible. What we're looking at for Saka, nearly 200 probably. 140, that's not bad. It's been higher in previous years. Sorry, like for those on a budget, that is high, but on a previous year, that's have been higher. Gyökeres, what's he going for? 50, £60. Again, it's because of the unlikeliness of them knowing who's going to start. Whereas, like I told you, Saka's nailed on. I think budget-wise, Kai Havertz isn't a bad option. He had a fantastic World Cup, and at £40, it's pretty good. But there isn't anyone in here that I go, oh yeah, I definitely have as a budget option for Arsenal. Arsenal's a tough team. It's expensive because you know what you get with Arsenal. So yeah, for me, that is my little insight to Arsenal for you. I hope you like this video and this type of video. I'm going to be trying to do some bit more content like this. I'm going to try and cover all 20 Premier League teams as well as this. But some teams I'll have better knowledge on than others. I'll have to do a bit more research in some, and some of my opinions won't be as strong as others. But I think my Arsenal knowledge is pretty nailed on. Hope you like the video. Please comment if there's any specific teams you want me to do. I'm going to focus on doing the Premier League, but if a subscriber comes from YouTube and says, please can you do this team for me, I will do it for you. But you have to be subscribed to my channel to do it, so I have to get something back in return for doing it. But I'm willing to do other teams as best as I possibly can. I'm hoping to get the next one out pretty soon after this, so keep an eye out. If this is sort of content you like from me, let me know, and I'm happy to keep doing this sort of content because I actually think it's really good, and it kind of links to what I did for a degree, looking at performance analysis when I worked at a Premier League club, which I will not disclose yet. Anyway, maybe later on down the line I will. But for now, please like, subscribe to the video, and keep looking out for the next one. Okay, my giveaway will be given out in my main scoring video at the end of the week. Okay, so still chance to enter that. Go and look at my beginner video, and that will be the competition's in there. So make sure you comment. You can get £20 market credit, so you can, if you bought a Bukayo Saka for 140 quid, you could get it for 126. Okay, so it's definitely worth doing. All right, and definitely worth entering because it could be, and there's not many people in it, so please do, because at the moment you've got a 1 in 10 chance of winning. So get involved, get doing it. All right, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.